I want you to mentally pull up your to-do list for a second. We all have one.
Oh, yeah.
You know the drill, right? You've got the easy stuff at the top, buy milk, call your mom, that kind of thing.
The low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. Then there's the medium stuff, like, I don't know, fixing that leaky faucet that's been dripping forever. But then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's that one item.
The one you've been migrating from list to list for, what, probably 5 years?
Yes. The one that just feels expensive, complicated, and frankly, a little morbid. We are talking about estate planning.
The ultimate procrastination trap.
It really is. And looking at the research we have for today, it seems like the biggest hurdle isn't even the difficulty, it's the psychology behind it. We tell ourselves, I'm not a Rockefeller. I don't have a yacht.
I don't have offshore accounts.
Right. Why do I need an estate plan?
And that misconception is the very first thing we need to just dismantle. It's huge. And actually, the source material we're diving into today from claimmylegacy.com, it starts with a quote from the Wall Street Journal, and it just hits his nail right on the head. It basically says, look, if you have any assets, maybe just a car and some decent furniture.
That's it. A car and a couch.
A car and a couch. Or, and this is the big one, minor children. If you have those, you need an estate plan.
I think for some people that just sounds like overkill. They think, my family can just split the furniture.
It feels like it, I get it, but it's not about the value of the stuff. It's about the control of the stuff. Because, and this is really the premise for our whole deep dive today, if you don't have a plan.
The government has one for you.
The government has one for you, and trust me, you are not going to like the government's plan.
A government plan, that sounds
ominous.
like a bad thriller movie. But let's actually unpack that, because I think people hear legal terms like probate and their eyes just glaze over.
For sure.
What does the government's default plan actually look like, according to these documents?
Well, it's a one-size-fits-all solution, and you know how those go. They fit poorly. Claim My Legacy highlights 3 big downsides. It is slow. It is expensive.
Okay.
And this is the one that really shocks people. It is completely public.
Public. Like anyone can go look it up.
Precisely. Your assets, your debts, who gets what. It all goes onto a public docket for anyone to see.
Wow.
But before we get into the nightmare scenarios there, let's just establish our mission. We are looking at a stack of documents from claimmylegacy.com.
Right.
And they're essentially building this case that the traditional legal industry is just, it's ripe for disruption.
They're pitching themselves as the TurboTax of estate planning.
That's a really fair comparison. I mean, just like that software took something super complex and made it accessible, they're trying to do the same thing here. Make it affordable, private, and, accessible without taking a half day off work.
Okay, so moving from the dusty law library to the cloud. But I want to circle back to that public thing. I think there's a huge assumption out there that if you write a last will and testament, your business stays your business.
Oh, 100%.
I leave my watch to my son, and that's the end of it.
And that is probably the single most dangerous assumption in this whole field. The source material does a really good job breaking down the difference between a will and their trust.
Which most people think are the same thing.
They do. But here's the reality check. A will is basically a letter written to a judge.
A letter to a judge. I've never heard it put that way.
Yes. A will guarantees you go to court. It has to be probated. That means a judge has to validate it. And that whole process, probate, is a public court proceeding.
So by having a will, I'm actually inviting the court into my living room.
That's a good way to put it, yes. And because it's public, anyone can pull the records. Neighbors, relatives you haven't seen in a decade, creditors, and yes, scammers. The source material is explicit about this. It attracts unwanted attention right when a family is at its most vulnerable.
That's terrifying. I mean, imagine you're dealing with a funeral and suddenly you have salespeople knocking on your door because they saw a public filing.
It happens.
Yeah.
And it's completely avoidable. That's the core argument here. If the will is the public way, the private way is the revocable living trust.
Okay, so help us understand the mechanics. How does a trust avoid that public spotlight? Because to me, trust sounds like something you have if you own a private island.
It does have that reputation, but think of a trust like a suitcase.
Yeah.
When you set it up, you're legally putting your assets, your house, your accounts, inside this suitcase.
Okay.
You still hold the handle, you can open it, take things out, put things in. It's revocable, so you can change it anytime.
So my day-to-day life is exactly the same. I can still sell my house if I want to.
Yeah. Exactly. Total control. But here's the magic trick. When you pass away, you let go of the handle. And because all your stuff is already in the suitcase, Your successor just picks up the handle.
Ah, so no judge needed.
No judge needed.
Oh.
It's a private contract. It skips the courts entirely.
And I'm assuming skipping the courts means skipping the fees, too.
Huge savings. The notes here say a trust can save families thousands in probate costs and fees. With probate, you're paying court fees, executor fees, attorney fees. It eats into the inheritance so fast.
So you're paying more money just to have less privacy.
That is the great irony of the default system. You are literally paying a premium to have your family's business exposed to the world.
I want to humanize this for a minute. We're throwing around these, dry legal terms, but the source material included some testimonials that I thought really grounded this in reality. It's not just about money.
No, it's about anxiety. Which one stuck out to you?
There was a woman, Tiffany, from Arizona. She's a single mom. And her fear wasn't about taxes. It was about her kids being thrown into the foster care system while the courts tried to figure things out.
That's a primal fear. And it's a valid one.
It is. And she said getting this plan in place just gave her peace of mind. Not about money, but knowing her kids would go to the right person immediately.
And that connects right back to that minor children point we started with. If you don't appoint a guardian legally, the state has to guess.
Yeah.
And the state doesn't know your family dynamics.
Right. A chart shouldn't raise your kids. That's a powerful thought. And then there was Steve E. from Virginia. His story was about his father.
Ah, yes, the Alzheimer's diagnosis.
Yeah. Steve mentioned his dad got a plan in mind before the diagnosis, and because he did, the family could honor his wishes without all these legal hurdles. It really made me think about timing.
Timing is everything. Steve's story is all about capacity.
Yeah.
To sign these documents, you have to be of sound mind. If his dad had waited.
He couldn't have legally signed it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
couldn't have signed the trust. And then you're stuck in what's called living probate.
What's that?
The family has to go to court just to get permission to pay dad's medical bills from his own money. It's a mess. It's expensive. And it's frankly humiliating for the person going through it.
So Steve's dad avoided all of that just by acting early.
He did.
Okay, so we've established the why. Privacy, saving money, protecting your kids. It seems like a no-brainer. So why isn't everyone doing it?
The source identifies two main barriers, and they are exactly what you'd think: cost and convenience.
It's the lawyer's hourly rate, right? People are terrified of that clock ticking.
It is. I mean, traditionally, this meant multiple trips to an office, intimidating meetings, and then getting a bill for, what, $3,000 to $5,000?
For a lot of families, that's just a non-starter. They can't justify it, or they just can't take the time off work.
Right. So enter Claim Me a Legacy. Their pitch is a tech solution to that exact problem.
But how does it actually work? I think when people hear online legal forms, they're picturing a generic PDF they have to fill out.
No, and that's a really crucial distinction. It's not a static form. It's an interview format. Think of it like a conversation with a smart digital assistant.
So it's asking me questions.
Yes. And the big selling point they emphasize is plain English. They flat out say, "We hate legalese."
Oh, thank goodness. Because if it started asking me about per stirpas versus per capita, I'm just closing the browser.
Me too. The whole system is designed to translate for you. It asks, who do you want to be in charge? And then the software turns that simple answer into the complex legal language your state requires.
And what if I get stuck on a question?
They've built in pop-up help. So if you see a term you don't know, the explanation is right there on the screen. The goal is you don't need a law degree to get through it.
And the speed. How long are we talking?
The claim is you could be printing your completed plan in about an hour.
An hour.
An hour? As you're answering, the servers are compiling the documents in the background, so when you hit finish, it's ready.
That completely changes the dynamic. It turns a someday project into a Saturday morning project. But I have to be skeptical here.
You should be.
Can an hour-long online quiz really replace a lawyer? Is this actually going to hold up in court?
That's the most important question.
Yeah.
And the source material addresses it head-on. They emphasize these are not generic internet forms. The documents themselves are written by expert estate planning attorneys with decades of experience.
So the legal language, the core of it, comes from real lawyers?
Exactly. The content is from lawyers. The delivery is just via software. The platform is powered by an engine called Estate Documents Pro, and they state clearly that the documents are compliant in all 50 states.
So it's a hybrid model. You're leveraging the lawyer's expertise, but automating the data collection.
That's a perfect way to put it. And that's how they get the price down. By spreading the cost of those expert attorneys across thousands of users, they can charge a tiny fraction of what a law firm does. It's economies of scale for law.
Okay, so let's say I do it. I spend my hour. What do I actually get? They mention a digital vault and a comprehensive kit. It's not just the trust, is it?
No, it's much more than just the trust, and this is vital because a good plan is just as much about what happens if you're alive but incapacitated.
Right, the scenario with Steve's dad.
Exactly. So you get the revocable living trust, of course. You also get a pour-over last will and testament.
Wait, a will? I thought we were avoiding wills.
You are. But the pour-over will is a safety net. It basically says, hey, if I forgot to put my old baseball cards into the trust suitcase, please pour them in now. It's just a backup.
Got it. What else is in there?
Then you have the critical life documents, the financial power of attorney. If you're in a coma, this lets someone you trust pay your mortgage. Then the healthcare power of attorney and a living will.
The advanced directives.
Right. This tells doctors your wish is on life support, so your family doesn't have to make an impossible choice. And they also include high-yield authorizations.
Those high PO forms are so sneaky important. I've heard stories of spouses not being able to get medical information without one.
Happens all the time. Doctors are legally bound not to share. This kit includes all of that. It even gets into some sophisticated options like spendthrift provisions.
Spendthrift. What's that? Is that for the kid who's terrible with money?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
It protects a beneficiary from themselves or from creditors. If you leave money to a child who's in debt or going through a divorce, this makes sure the money is used for their care but can't be seized by, say, an ex-spouse.
Wow. That's a level of customization I wouldn't expect from an online service.
And that's the point they're trying to make. It's not a one-size-fits-all form. It also includes things like IRA look-through provisions for tax-efficiently handling retirement accounts.
Now, we're talking about putting a lot of really sensitive information online here. Social security numbers, family details. How secure is this digital vault?
In today's world, that's a fair question. The source material gets specific. They cite SHA 256 RSA 496-bit keyed SSL encryption.
Okay, that sounds robust. I don't know what it means, but it sounds like what a bank would use.
It is bank level. The key phrase is that data is encrypted in transit and at rest. So whether it's moving or sitting still on their server, it's scrambled. They also mention holding an A rating from independent SSL labs.
Okay, so it's locked down. But here's the other thing that bugs me about planning. Life changes. You have a kid, you move, you buy a house. With a lawyer, every time you call to change something, you get a bill.
Right. Hello, Mr. Lawyer. That'll be $300.
Exactly.
This is where the tech model really shines. Claim a Legacy offers unlimited updates.
For free.
As long as your account is active, yes. They say we believe everyone should have the best and most up-to-date estate plan. So if you have another child, you just log in, make the change, and reprint. No hourly fee.
That solves the outdated plan problem. I know people who have a will from 1995 that still lists an ex-spouse.
And an outdated plan can be worse than no plan at all. It just creates conflict.
Okay, I'm sold on the concept. But looking at the source here, there's a quirk. It says how to buy, but it's not just a big add to cart button.
You caught that. It's a unique part of their business model. You generally can't just Google the site and buy it cold. The text says you need a link provided by a licensed financial professional.
So I need to know a guy.
Kind of. They license the software to financial advisors, investment advisors, insurance agents, the people who are probably already helping you with your money.
That actually makes a lot of sense. If I'm already talking to my financial advisor about my assets, it's a natural next step to say, okay, we're growing this, now let's protect it.
It connects the two pillars, financial planning and legal planning, which, usually operate in their own separate worlds. This model forces them to integrate.
So if a listener is interested, they should probably ask their financial advisor if they have access to something like this.
Correct. That's the primary path. And I think it adds a layer of trust. If my advisor, who I already trust with my retirement, recommends this, I'm more likely to use it than if I just saw a pop-up ad.
For sure. It reinforces that this is part of a whole strategy, not just a one-off download.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've looked at the government plan, bad, public, expensive. We've looked at the tech solution, fast, private, affordable. What's the big takeaway for the listener right now?
Well, if you synthesize all this, the main takeaway is that the era of hanging on to old ways is over. What's happening here is a democratization of law.
Democratization is a big word, but it feels right.
It fits. I mean, for a long time, a good trust-based plan was a luxury product. If you couldn't afford a $5,000 retainer, you got the government plan, period. Technology has lowered that barrier to entry.
It's removing the excuses. It's too expensive isn't true anymore. It's too complicated isn't true anymore.
And I don't have the time is definitely not true if it takes an hour on a Saturday morning.
So really, it just comes down to facing that anxiety we talked about at the beginning, just getting over that hump.
It does. And I'll leave you with this final thought. It's a bit provocative, but it really cuts to the heart of it. If you were to vanish today, right now, would your family be mourning your loss in private? Or would they be stuck navigating a public court docket, exposed to the world, all because you didn't take an hour to answer some simple questions?
That is a heavy question, but it's a necessary one. Peace of mind is affordable now, but the cost of doing nothing, the cost of that government plan, is just way too high. Thanks for walking us through this.
My pleasure.
And to our listener, go check that item off your list. We'll see you on the next deep dive.